How would you invest $10,000? Wow. If you have $10,000 to invest and you're a young person watching this, congratulations. That's already great. I mean, congratulations. Most people don't have $10,000. So good job, good for you. I'm going to go over some ways that you can do this and some, maybe creative ways you can do this. But I'm going to go over some generic ones too, and then I'll go over what I would do with it. I'm going to save that for the end, and that could be the very best thing you could do with $10,000. I'll get into this. So I'm going to go very generic here. Start off generic. What you guys probably want me to do is go stocks. So I would not invest in bonds. I would not invest in currencies or any sort of speculation. Well, actually, I'm going to get into this actually. Okay, so I'd invest in stocks. That's the first one. If you are an intermediate investor, I have this 80-20 rule where, invest 80% of it. So this would be $8,000. Invest $8,000 in safe stuff, relatively safe stuff, and then have 20%, so that would be $2,000. Put that in stocks that are just hey, if this goes to zero, so what? But it could double. Not penny stocks, though. I don't like penny stocks. I don't know why so many people like penny stocks. I don't like them. So many people lose money. That's a whole different story. So 20% go into an upcoming tech company or something. I've done that, and I haven't doubled my money off that before, but I've had a few stocks go up 50% on some just complete guesses on speculation. I had one that was tech systems that went up 50% in 2 years or a year. I forget what that was. This was a long time ago. I was probably 19 when that happened. But yeah, 80% in safe, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, all that stuff, and then 20% don't be afraid to lose. Now, if you aren't willing to risk any of this $10,000, then you could go all into safe stocks, and that'll give you hopefully a 6% return per year, which would equate to $600. Plus, it'll probably increase in value by a few percentage points too. I don't really count that as 6%. Oh, actually, I should count that as 6%. Sorry, I should kind of backtrack here. At this very moment in time, of this 6%, if you invest in high dividend stocks or relatively high safe dividend stocks, odds are 4% of the value will come from dividends, and then 2% will come from increase in equity or market value. I'm just going to say equity. It's not the right terminology, but whatever. We're going to move on. So $10,000. I'd go $8,000 safe stuff and, $2,000 of just hopefully this will double kind of stuff. So that's the very, very first thing, which probably a lot of you are going to hear. So, 20% of it, or maybe you're a little bit more confident. Maybe you go 70-30. You put $3,000 into tech stocks or something like that. And, or maybe oil. Maybe you're an oil speculator. Maybe you're a gold speculator. I don't know. I like to stay away from commodities, but maybe you guys are different. So the very next thing is if you have $10,000 in a lot of areas in North America, that's more than enough to dive into real estate. So I'm going to give you a kind of semi-illegal tip here, but it's semi-legal, semi-illegal here. It's actually legal if you do this right. So generally right now, especially in Canada, is if you want a mortgage to buy a house, you have to have a 20% down payment. Generally speaking, it's 20%. So for a $100,000 house, which is totally or apartment or condo, there's tons of those in some areas, right? Especially in the United States and the flyover states, you guys can easily get $100,000 units for everywhere. So generally, you're going to need to pay, $20,000. But there is a way around this, is that, you can apply for a first-time home buyer, especially if you're a millennial right now. And if you are a first-time home buyer, there's a rule here. So all you need is a 5% down payment, which would be $5,000. But let's just say 5% down payment in this case is $10,000. So you could buy a $200,000 property for $10,000 if you get the mortgage right. Now, this is conditional upon one thing. That thing is you have to live in the house or you have to plan to live in the house. So if you have the $10,000, what you could do theoretically is, live in the house, and then maybe you say maybe you can't afford it, or maybe you want to rent somewhere else, or maybe you want to move in with mom and dad. So maybe you live in it for a few months and then you rent it. You'd have to go over, you don't really have to report this to the bank because they're not going to check like ever, but you have to, you should inform them that you plan to rent it out. So what you could do here, the mortgage payment for this, I don't know what this would be. This would be like, what, $800 a month? We'll just say $700 a month. So the mortgage payment for this real estate investment you bought is $700. Okay, it's probably a condo or an apartment. I recommend investing in multifamily homes, but generally $10,000 is not going to get it done. You're going to need more than that. That's kind of what happens. But so what you do, the mortgage is $700, including taxes and everything. Let's just say it's $800 a month for all the expenses. It's probably more. So what you do is you rent it out for $950. You rent it out for $950. Okay, that's good. You probably will have $150 in cash flow per month. Plus, if it's in a good area, the house itself, if it's properly built and in a good area, it should go up in value from $200,000 to maybe next year it's worth $202,000. So it's slightly beating inflation. So you get a good return there. You get a good, let's just say 2% return per year on the value of the house. It could go up, it could go down, and you get $150 in cash flow. So that's a way to invest in real estate. You take out a mortgage, you have the $10,000 is the down payment. Each month you take home $150. Let's do some math here actually. So let's just say you take home $150 a month. So it's $150. Over 10 months, obviously, you earn $1,500. And over, that's too many zeros. Not 15,000, that's 1,500. And over the course of 12 months, which is what I should have calculated in the first place, you get $1,800 return per year. Now, this is just a very rough example, but in this example, $1,800, $10,000 investment, that's what, an 18% return, which is ridiculous and that'll never happen. But that's a rough example of how you can make money investing in real estate. Now, saying that, the returns on this from my experience I was in the real estate field and still am, I'm an agent still, is there are higher returns, generally speaking, from safe real estate investments versus the stock market. So generally in real estate, what I see is, a 6 to 8, I'd say generally in my market, it's 8% cash flow return on investment. Plus, it's been crazy the past 5 years. The property values have increased, 10 to 20% per year in the GTA. So you can make a lot more money in real estate than in the stock market, but it could also go vice versa. I mean, I've seen a lot of investors actually lose money in stocks, to be quite honest. I've seen most of them still make money. But from a lot of the millionaires and multimillionaires that I've talked to, they make more money in real estate than in the stock market. So I think that we are going to continue here. We're going to continue with just some really random-ish example. One random example, or maybe, actually, you know what, we'll cut right to the chase here. My throat's getting sore. I'm going to give you my answer. What would I do with $10,000? So I gave you the example of how stocks, the rate of return, if you're good, is 6% per year. I've said that in like all my videos. In real estate, if you include the value of the property going up in some areas, we'll just say you can earn 10% per year. In cash flow, that's including cash flow. We're going to give you another example here. $10,000. Okay. People want a passive income. People want to become entrepreneurs. People want to invest in stocks and real estate because they think that they're going to get rich. Most people lose money in stocks. Not actually, to be honest, most people don't lose money in real estate. Most people still make money in real estate because generally to get into that, you have to be smart. But stocks, anyone can sign up for it. So you can be a dumbass and lose money. So a lot of people lose money in stocks. People lose money in real estate. It's true. But generally speaking, if you're good, you get 6 to 10% returns per year. Now, here's what I would do with it. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I'd want to drill this into all your heads. What I wish I knew when I was 19. Invest in business, in your own business. That is I'm going to give you an example. Don't click away yet. I'm going to give you an example here. So this is a general example. So, I'm not going to give away my numbers for the stuff that I've sold. I just started selling programs. Back in the day, I was doing, affiliate marketing and network marketing, and I'm kind of getting into that more, and I made some money, and I had a part, self-employed, part full-time job selling stuff, and my ROI on that was a lot higher than what I'm about to show here. But let's just say you want to start a YouTube channel. I've given this example before. A YouTube channel can be a business. I mean, you probably won't make enough to, pay all your bills, but you can do it. So you invest in YouTube. So you buy a camera, you buy audio equipment, you buy some lights. Let's just say you buy all the nice stuff, and it comes out to $1,000. Great. Maybe you invest in all that stuff, and then you make a website, you make all this stuff, you make a website, maybe you make programs, and that costs you an extra $200. And you want to do, which is also important, but not for everyone, advertising. You can pump in the rest of your money into that if you want to. So in this example, it'd be $8,000, $8,800. I'm going to give you an example here of why this can be better than this. So my YouTube channel is fairly small. This channel, I had a much bigger one, my science channel, Jacksai, which was, pulling in millions of views. I just didn't like it anymore, so I just stopped. And I'm just going to give you an example here. So this was, for most people, that'll be the cost of starting a YouTube channel with a nice camera and all that stuff. But luckily, I had all the equipment already. So for me, it was just a few $100s to get it all set up, a new camera and all that. So $10,000. It is, for a channel like this, I'm going to give away part of my numbers here. But, channels like this in my science channel, they can easily pull in $1,000 a month. Luckily, I know I'm not supposed to mention too much of the money stuff because people don't like that, of specific money stuff, but okay, so CPM is cost per mile. It's like how much advertisers will pay to put ads on your videos. So just generally speaking, most YouTubers get paid like 70 cents for every 1,000 views. That's their net income. So if you were to get whatever, 1 million views, that's like $700 for a lot. Is that math right on that one? I don't know. But so for every 1,000 views, they would get 70 cents. That's the average YouTuber. For gamers, it's less. For gamers, it's like 50 cents. So that is why I want to talk about it on this channel. My CPM is like 10. And on my science channel, it was like 5. It was pretty good. But like people say that that's a bullshit number. It's not. I'm going to make a YouTube program where it's going to go through all the analytics and teach you guys how to set up your channel and all that stuff and make money. So my CAPM is close to 10. I think it might be 9 right now. It fluctuates. It's probably 9 or 10 right now. But $1,000 a month, we'll do the math here, over 12 months. Anyone know how much money that is? Take a guess. That's $12,000. Anyone want to know what the ROI on that is? 120. 120%. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't write it up here. The ROI is 120%. So, I'm not saying you have to set up a YouTube channel. I'm saying any online business, if you're willing to put in some time and some effort, that's the way I would go. I mean, for me, for specifically this YouTube channel, I don't put in more than a few hours a week. I just put in a few hours and I upload it, and that's it. I tag it and share it, and that's it. That's all I do. Investing it, researching for stocks, that can take a few hours a week if you want to do that. Real estate, that'll take weeks if you want to invest in real estate. It could be worth it in the long run, but that'll take weeks. This is hours per week. So set up like an online store. Set up, people don't think of it as an investment, but it is. It is. It's the same as this, except you have control of this. If you know what you're doing, this is the way to go. Not YouTube specifically for a lot of you, but like online stuff. It's so easy to set up. Oh, my microphone's falling off here. Hello? It's so easy to set up, and I just want to drill that into you guys. If I had to go back to when I was 19 and I had, how much did I have in the bank? Like $8,000 in the bank when I was 19, or 10 grand from working for a $30 an hour job. Seriously, I'd put all that money into advertising, into setting up my own stuff early on. I didn't really get into this seriously until this year, but I started getting into it about 2-3 years ago when I started getting my passive income. Maybe 4 years ago now. No, 3 years ago. I was 20. So that's when I started. And like even when I was starting my science channel, I mean, that was still pulling in $300, $400 a month when I was like, even when it wasn't even at its peak. Let's just do some math right there. You know, let's erase all of this. Let's erase all of this. And let's just say you're starting a YouTube channel and you were like my science one, which was still pulling in like let's just say $300 a month. Sorry, that's what I meant. $300 a month. Over 12 months, 12 times 300 is $3,600 a year. So what's the ROI on that? That's still 36% return on investment. Like, I still don't understand why everyone just doesn't do this. I don't. I know some people try and fail, but you got to keep at it for months and months and months and months. You got to eat shit, and then you'll start seeing the money come in. That's how it works. And I know a lot of people will say, like, invest in stocks, invest in real estate, you know, invest in wine, because wine increases in value with age. I should have mentioned that. You know, invest in whatever, private businesses and venture capitals and all that stuff. Invest in apps. And apps can be good too. But like at the end of the day, I'm not bullshitting with you guys. This is the route that has worked for me, and hopefully it'll work for you. That's how I started. I started with YouTube. And then I branched into online stores and marketing and online marketing programs and all that stuff. And I'm fully self-employed right now. If I had 10 grand and invested it all in this stuff, man. Now I know a lot of you are asking, hey, what'd you do with $8,000 when you were 19? I got sick and I couldn't work for a year. I was like hospitalized for a large portion. I had to pay for drugs and medication and all that stuff. And I couldn't work. When was this? I was 21 or 20 when this happened. I was probably 20 when that happened. So I couldn't work. I had to go through pretty much most of my savings. I only had a couple grand left. I probably had $1,000 or $2,000 left. And that's the story of how I lost all that money. So I had to pay for drugs to stay alive. So don't get sick, everyone. And I'm excited. I actually get to have my sinus surgery this month. So hopefully that'll all get corrected too. That's why my eyes are so black. And that's why I have acne and stuff still. I didn't have acne or black eyes until I started getting sick. I mean, I went through organ failure and stuff, but this sinus stuff happened at the same time and it never went away. So how would you invest $10,000? I mean, I know a lot of you are going to say stocks, which is fine. I mean, it's fine. Stocks is good. It's better than keeping it in your bank. I mean, I know a lot of people, I know I erased the title already, but a lot of people, when they make $10,000, I would say majority of people, what they do is they'll put it in like a checking account, right? They'll put it in a checking account, and I forget what the interest rates are. I think that they're 0.2% right now, 0.5%. Well, just going to say 0.5% and be, it's probably much less than that. It might be 0.1%. So inflation right now is 1.7%, meaning that out of that $10,000, you're losing 1.2% of its buying power every year. If you keep it in your checking account, which is what most people do. So 1.2%, you're losing $120 a year, essentially, of buying power. I'm doing this off the top of my head. And if you put it in, let's just say you put it in a high interest savings account. So savings account, what is that? I think it's 1% is a high savings account right now, which is that's a little bit funny. When I was a kid, it was like 20, and checking accounts were 8%. So you're still losing, let's see, you're still losing 0.7% of the buying power per year, which is $70. That's what most people do, seriously. Which is so, like, I know so many of my friends keep all their money in their checking and stuff, and I just like, man, and like, if you add up that 1.5% that you're losing every year over the next 4 decades, it adds up. It adds up to a lot of money. And here's one other thing. I know I made a video on the recession that could be upcoming. So for those of you that don't know, I talked about it in my recession video. I went in depth. A recession occurs every 4 to 10 years, historically speaking. Every 4 to 10 years since the late 1700s or early 1700s. I actually forget. But there's one every 4 to 10 years. It's happened over centuries and centuries and centuries. And so the last one was in 2008. What year are we in right now? 2017. How many years is that? 9. It's 9 years. If history repeats itself like it has, 70 times since the 1700s, a recession should happen by the latest by 2018, which is next year. So what you could do actually is actually put it in a savings account for a little bit. And then what you could do is invest it all if everything, I don't know, if shit hits the fan. So what I'm trying to say here is, I went over this in a video, on my recession video. So for example, let's just say, let's just say we're right here. We're right here. This is 2017. So this is we'll just say market value of stocks or the economy or whatever you want to say, value. We'll just say stock market because that's easier. Stock market value. We're right here. We've seen a lot of growth here since 2009, 2008, whatever. And what would happen if we're right here and then in the next few months, maybe it keeps going and then we see another recession? What would happen then? And then maybe you start investing right here instead of right here, and then you see the slow, I guess it would be, if it's a recession like that, it would be like this, and then it'd be like this. So maybe, honestly, I usually always recommend to invest like all the time. My strategy is always buy and buy more. But historically speaking, if history repeats itself, you might want to hold on to your money just for like a year and just see what happens. Because if you invest at the bottom of a recession, you're going to do great. Now, saying that recessions can be super terrible, like the Great Depression. The one that I just showed you was like 2008. But they could also be like 2001, which is like this. Like it was just a temporary, that sucked for like 6 months. It wasn't like people were losing their homes. It was just like, that was kind of shitty for a little bit. It could also be like that. But, the next one could also be like the Great Depression, right? Where everyone loses everything. So people think that there's never going to be another recession. I'm not saying that it's going to happen next year. I don't know, right? History says it's going to happen next year, by next year. But there's going to be one eventually. It may not be next year, may not even be 5 years, may not be 10 years, but historically speaking, there's always, always, always a recession that happens after a period of growth. So all I'm trying to say is that, there's probably, historically speaking, a recession coming. I'm just saying be prepared for it. Maybe hang on to your $10,000 for a little bit and then invest at the bottom of a recession, because you can easily double your money in 5 to 10 years. So I think that's kind of what I wanted to cover in this video. Oh, I just tripped on this wire here. But I'd like to thank you very much for watching. You're all very beautiful people. And I'll see you guys in the next video.